Hey, this is Chris to Make Some Less Than Jake, and you're listening to Mark and Me.
Don't touch that dial!
Hello and welcome to a very special episode of the Mark and Me podcast. Hopefully you've listened to a previous episode of this podcast and you will know that each week I do 2 or 3 episodes interviewing all different people from all different walks of life. But this time round you're getting 3 sets of guests. That's right, I'm back yet again to give you another festival special. This last week I was lucky enough to attend Slam Dunk Festival in the north and the south. I had an absolutely amazing time. The weather was fantastic, everyone at the press tent was awesome, I made some incredible friends, I met up with some previous friends, and I just had an absolute blast. And I've had an absolutely incredible time interviewing some awesome bands for you all. And I'm really proud to tell you that on today's special, I'm going to be giving you interviews with the amazing bands Movements, Less Than Jake and PVRIS. So a real variety in sound, bands and everything that you could wish for. And I'm really excited to share those interviews with you in just a couple of moments time. But just before we get there, I just want to give a big shout out to the amazing Emma Van Dykes and Siobhan Connor. You guys made this weekend unbelievable. The press tent was amazing. I got to see some good friends from other podcasts. I got to see the guys at Rock Sound. I'm a huge lover of Sapling podcasts, so it was great to see Morgan and Sean and hang out. And honestly, you were so accommodating all weekend, and I had one of the best weekends, and it was the start of an amazing, busy festival period for Mark and me. But what I want to do today is to give you the very first episode, and this interview is one of my favourites that I've done at any festival. These guys are really down to earth, really humble, and one of my favourite interviews that I've done all weekend. But I want to start things off really high, so let's get to it. Here's me and Movements talking all things music.
Start simply, nice and slow, but the current grows so quickly. Skipping stones, I didn't throw your sinking.
I'm here with Movements. Both of you, how the hell are you doing?
We're good, man.
Doing awesome.
That's awesome to hear. It's bloody hot today. I'm not going to lie, I'm
this
melting.
This is hot for you?
Yeah, this is...
Oh, we were shivering
in
earlier.
their coats. Look at these guys.
I'm wearing a jacket, but I will say
it's warm in this tent.
It is very bright out, and coming to the UK, I was just like, yeah, I don't need sunglasses or anything. It's fine, and I regret that decision today.
Yeah.
Right, so what I do on this podcast to give the listeners out there that may have not heard Movements, you never know, there are people out there that may have not tuned in right now.
I'd say most.
Yeah.
What we try and do is give them an idea of basically how you guys fell in love with music. So what I want to know from both of you is that first album that you remember buying that basically made you just want to be in a band and play music all day, every day.
Oh, man. For me, it wasn't a record that I bought. It was a record that I stole from my cousin, who I looked up to very much, and he was like into punk rock and hardcore and shit. And at the time, I was probably 8 or 9 years old and didn't really have much of my own music sense. I only listened to what my parents listened to in the car and whatnot. And I remember that my cousin was staying the night at our house, and he had a little Walkman, and this was like early 2000s, and he had Good Charlotte, Young and Hopeless, or it's Young and Hopeless, right? Yeah, fuck. Look at me, I'm a fake fan.
I'll edit this so you say it perfectly, and we'll never have done this.
So it was the first. Yeah, right.
That would make sense.
So it was that. So okay, he had this Walkman, right?
Okay, cool.
And he had this CD. And inside the Walkman, the CD was Good Charlotte, Young and the Hopeless.
What a great album.
Amazing album. And that was like my first introduction to anything that wasn't oldies pop radio and show tunes. And that, like, that made me fall in love with it, man. And from there, I found bands like, Green Day, and even, I think, he even introduced me to like, Simple Plan and shit. Like, that was like what really started my love for it all. And I think from there, it was just a tumbleweed effect,
Is yours as cool as this?
I'm trying to, like, it was like all my friends and stuff at the time were listening to stuff, and at first I was like, I don't know if I'm really into this or not. And then I think it was Blink 182 that like really like dragged me into it. Like, I loved the self-titled record. Like, that's still one of my favorite records to this day. But I will say, like, once I started like owning music, I think the first CD I owned was Yellow Card Ocean Avenue, and that was
Who are on this lineup?
Yeah.
They literally are. But yeah, that was the album that I like, got to take home and like listen to and like really soak it in, and that was a really big record for me, influentially. For sure.
Yeah.
It all changed for me when I see a band live, and I've said this on a few interviews today, but I was quite fortunate that the first gig I went to was Green Day on their Dookie tour.
Sick.
What a great band. But
amazing.
Was yours cool? Was it a first good gig that you tell, or do you lie and tell people it's something else?
Well, this is the thing. I'm comfortable owning up to it now. There was a time in my life where I was really embarrassed by what my first gig was.
Come on.
I'm not embarrassed by it anymore, because I think it's kind of awesome. But I think for a little while there, I maybe would have gotten made fun of for this. My first ever concert was stacked. Okay, it was fucking the Ready Set opened. And I was like 14, maybe 13. It was the Ready Set, Never Shout Never, We the Kings, Boys Like Girls, at the House of Blues in Anaheim.
Fucking hell.
Which used to be, this was the original House of Blues, which was at Downtown Disney before it got ripped out and moved elsewhere. So that was my first show ever. Okay, I told my parents that it was an acoustic show, quote unquote, because they only knew who Never Shout Never was. And I said, Mom and Dad, it's fine. It's not a rock show. It's just an acoustic band. Like, it's just a guy with a guitar. And they let me go to this show. And I think they were waiting outside for a while after the show, waiting for the show to be over. And they heard Boys Like Girls playing, which, like, not a heavy band by any means. But my parents were like, you said it was an acoustic show, and you tricked us into you going to a rock concert and all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, I did.
That's so good. That is like a very stacked bill.
Crazy.
That's actually nuts. Yeah, my first show, I think I was probably like 13, something like that. Like, I was into all the music, but I just hadn't gone to a show yet. But it was Taking Back Sunday when, what's that record? Louder Now just came out. And they were also playing with Angels and Airwaves. And I'm not sure who opened that tour. I have to, like, look it up. But, yeah, it was awesome. I loved it. It's at the Long Beach Arena. And
huge.
Yeah, and they have, like, recordings from that show, and that was my first show. It's kind of nuts.
These are really cool gigs.
We're lucky.
We grew up in
right
now. This is very cool first ever shows.
We grew up in a good place for music, Southern California. It's like, who doesn't hit Southern California when they're touring, So we got super lucky with awesome bands coming through all the time.
One of my favorite bands who I want to see at the House of Blues is Thrice. I absolutely fucking love that band.
Top 10 band of all time for me.
On my list.
Orange County legends.
Mate, I've had Dustin on this podcast 3 times.
Yeah.
That band for me, Evolve. There is no other band on the planet that have literally never played it safe. They just keep fucking getting better and better.
Straight up.
They're so good. Amazing band.
Dustin's voice, my God. Like,
unbelievable.
Unbelievable. I could talk about Thrice all day long, but
yeah.
you guys are here right now, and genuinely, you must look at that bill, see these bands on here, Enter Shikari, bands like Offspring, Yellow Card, who you've mentioned. To see your name on that poster amongst these must be like a pinch me, like, this is fucking awesome.
It's kind of crazy sometimes, but we just love what we do, like, we love this job, like, we would not want to do anything else, and, we've been working hard for years on our music and just playing up and, like, getting on these bills, and it is crazy, like, to think about it sometimes. It's just like, oh, that's wild, we're playing with these people that inspired us to even play a guitar,
Straight up. I mean, the fact that, like, so we played right before Hawthorne Heights today, and Hawthorne Heights historically has been one of my favorite bands. I mean, that was like,
Dude, they're on literally after you here.
literally, yeah. Tell them we said hey.
We will do. And
Maybe-
you want to support them on their whole world tour.
Yeah, exactly. No, so it's funny. Like we're good friends with them now.
That's awesome.
But I remember that being one of those moments where, you know, a few years ago when we met them and started to become friends and whatever, I remember thinking like, man, this is fucking crazy. Like, you know, 12-year-old Pat would have been fucking freaking out that like he's talking to his favorite band, you know, like little emo kid me would have been, you know, on another fucking planet if I, you know, was able to see me now then, you know, and it's crazy, dude. But yeah, I mean, it's a very, very cool feeling, and it's even more cool when you get to see like your heroes kind of become human and
They're
become,
real.
and become peers.
Yeah.
You know, it's a really special thing. So we're just happy to be here.
Are you guys nervous? Do you guys think when you're looking at the bill with these bands that have been going over 20 years, one of the first albums I ever owned was Smash by Offspring, and I still look at those guys as fucking gods. Like, they played Self-Esteem and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Anthems. They maybe want to pick up the guitar. Do you guys look at it and think, fuck, we need to up our game because these bands are fucking legends?
I think it's important, like, when you're, like, writing music and stuff, to just kind of be yourself and kind of do your own thing, you know? You don't have to sound like a band or, like, do this, like, just doing what makes you happy and writing the music that you like and think your fans will enjoy. I think, yeah, I never looked at it like that sort of way, you know? Like, that's how my mindset is on it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's, you know, obviously it's inspiring to see these huge bands who have been doing this for, you know, 10, 20, 30 years and who are still continuing to make a living. That's incredible. That's literally the only thing that people in our world could ever ask for. You know, that is the best possible outcome. And I think that as a band, we always do need to challenge ourselves to continue to grow and to continue to like push those boundaries and hopefully someday work hard enough that, you know, it does pay off and we do get to do this for our careers forever. So yeah, I think Austin's right. We're never going to pander to anybody just because we think that it's going to make us blow up. It's not about that. It's about doing what you do and staying true to what you do, but also growing and allowing natural change to, you know, bring bigger opportunities to your band. And, you know, if it works, great. If for whatever reason it fails miserably, we've already accomplished more as a band than we ever thought we were going to. And we can all literally like die happy knowing that this was our dream and we've already exceeded all of our expectations.
Do you know, I've done like 270 episodes of this podcast, and genuinely, guys, I mean this, I don't think I've ever met a couple of guys that are so down to earth and so humble, and it's so fucking good because I've interviewed bands, I'm not mentioning anyone, but their head's gone so far up their own arse they come back out again.
Yeah.
But it's so nice to hear people that are just so fucking grateful to be given the opportunity and to do what you do because you love it.
Absolutely.
You're not doing it because you want to do a quick cash grab or this
Right.
sellout album that's just going to be played on this certain radio station. You do it because you fucking want to do it and it's in your blood, and you can tell just by meeting you today you're not going to be going anywhere anytime soon.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you very much.
It really fucking means a lot.
Seriously.
Hell yeah.
I can't wait now to come and see your set, and the good thing is we're going to be at Leeds tomorrow as well, and I've not got as many interviews tomorrow, which is great. So we're going to
Nice.
come and watch all the set and have a blast with you guys.
Well, you better sing as loud as you can because
We're gonna
my voice
fucking
is
blink.
feeling rough. If you
I
can't
am
tell.
sorry to everyone listening that I'm making him talk because I'm now
Yeah,
responsible.
you're responsible if I can't sing tomorrow.
Oh,
Sorry.
Fucking hell, I take everything back. You're the worst band in the world. But you're just about as well to release Ruckus.
Yes.
Is that exciting? Are you starting to try and get some of those new tracks incorporated
Oh,
into the
man.
set, or are you just a little bit like playing it safe of just playing the hits?
It feels so good to play the new songs, you know, like we've been, you know, it takes a while to put out a record, you know, once you write the songs, mix them, master and record them, like, so we've been kind of sitting on these for almost,
Dude, like a year. I mean, we've literally been sitting on our
That's
new songs for
insane.
so long to the point where they don't even feel new to us anymore. But it's awesome being able to slowly incorporate them into the set. It's nerve-wracking. It's scary, you know, playing new songs. You never know how they're going to be received. And we played a headliner the other night in London at the Underworld.
Yep.
And it was it was packed out, sold out, fucking so sweaty. And we, I told the crowd, I was like, hey, we're going to play our one of our new singles, Lead Pipe. I said, this is our first time that we've ever played this song, okay? And I was like, straight up, playing new songs is really awkward because most of the time people don't know it and they don't want to sing along, or they're afraid to be like singing along because no one else is singing along. You know what I mean? So I was like, don't let that happen. Fucking go crazy. Pretend like you know the song even if you fucking don't, and just have a good time, and let's not let this energy die just because it's a new song. And I swear to God, man, we've never had a better reaction to a new song ever in any of our sets that we've ever played. It was
this is karma for being good guys. It's just like your fucking treat. If you were dickheads, everyone would have gone, what the fuck is this new shit?
Yeah, it was awesome, dude. So
That's
it feels great to slowly be able to start playing these new tracks, and we're just excited to have the record out, man. It's going to be awesome.
I can't wait to hear it, man. And my final question for you guys, and I've done this on 270 episodes, is the guests get to choose the last piece of music that's played. It can be any song, any band, anyone that means a lot to you. There's two of you today. You'll both give me your first suggestion that comes to your heart and your head, and I'll toss a coin, or I'll mix it up and put both in the episode.
Okay.
But something that you fucking worship, that when today's episode is all edited and out there, that piece of music or song's played straight after your interview, and you're both like, that's the song.
And we had to agree on it?
No, you can have one each, and then, or we do rock, paper, scissors. I don't know what we do. We do something.
I'm going to use this as an opportunity to show some love to an artist who is very small, who I believe in with my entire heart, who I think is going to be, or has the potential to be, one of the best alternative rock artists of the newer generation of bands that are doing it right now.
Listen to him building this up.
I love this band. I love this artist. I think they are phenomenal. Their name is Moth, M-O-T-H-E.
Nice.
And they have a record that they just put out last year, and I'm blanking on the name. And of course, my phone doesn't work here, so you'll have to look up the band for me.
We can do this on Spotify for you now.
But
Off with an E.
Yeah, M-O-T-H-E. Their name is Spencer. They're a phenomenal lyricist and incredible musician, sort of a prodigy sort of situation, and they rock. So I Don't Want You to Worry Anymore is the album that just came out last year.
Awesome.
And, easily my favorite record of 2022. It was unbelievable.
Is there a certain track on there?
Dancing on an Empty Floor is phenomenal, but I think my favorite song on this entire record is Concrete Smile. However, Concrete Smile is a little bit more of a deep cut. It's a little softer.
Okay.
And Dancing on an Empty Floor is like a banger.
Let's go with that.
So
I want a banger.
I would say to do the banger. But yeah, Dancing on an Empty Floor, Debt Collector, Wrong Places. Every single fucking song on this record is incredible. I believe in this person so much. That's it. That's all. That I just want them. I want to show them some love.
Are you a fan of theirs at all? I don't know. I can't
Not
quite
really.
Get the no, they're all right. What I like about this is some people come on here and will pick like the Beatles or Foo Fighters, and that's great, and they're classics. But I love discovering new music, and I've not heard Moth, so I'll now spend the next week probably going down this whole fucking YouTube and Spotify journey, fall in love with this band, become obsessed with them, and then, like you, be passionate and be telling the world about them. So that's going to be awesome.
Yeah. So I'm going to do a similar thing as well. I love shouting out homies. There's this band called Cherry Domingo. We've taken them out in the States. They're from
Greater Los Angeles.
Greater Los Angeles. And they're just such an awesome band, just such great people. Like me and our drummer are just really good, like friends with them. And I just hang out with like their singer. We play Magic the Gathering all the time, and it's great. So I would say a song by theirs that I love would be, I like the first track on their new EP called Life is Good. It's such a good song, such a good band, like highly recommend it.
Guys, genuinely, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you come on. When the album's out, come back on, man. We know your people. Come back and talk about the album in more detail. Let's do an episode just dedicated to you. I mean, this special will go out and there'll be episodes with 3 bands on, so it could be you and Hawthorne Heights and Billy Talent. I don't know what
Amazing.
we're going to do.
Yeah.
But let's get you back on. Let's do it over Zoom and sit down and talk.
Absolutely.
For
Yeah, I'd love
ages,
that.
'cause
We would love
you
to
are
do that,
more
yeah.
than welcome, and
Amazing, man. Thank you.
I welcome it whenever you guys are ready.
Awesome. Yeah.
Thank you
can't
so
wait.
much.
He'll only kill you if you let him. But you're not nervous cause you left him. You said that you liked
So there's my first interview with Movements, and I think they're absolutely awesome guys. Really grounded, really humble. They are really appreciative of how they've come to where they've got to at this point, and honestly, they're just the nicest guys. And I welcome them back on Mark and Me at any time for an interview, hopefully longer, which we can talk all about their new music and the tour and everything else. One of the bands definitely to keep an eye on, and I can't wait to see more of them very soon. Next up, we have the amazing Than Jake. Honestly, this band deserved their main stage slot more than anyone. Absolute legends, and the podcast itself is funny, interesting, and again, left me wanting more. So I'm hoping that when they're back in the new year with Bowling for Soup on the UK tour, I'll get some more time with them and give you a brand new, even longer episode. But until then, let's give you this special from Slam Dunk. Next up, here's me and Than Jake talking all things music.
But you think it's strange that there's a way of how you looked and how you act and how you think. Pretend they're not the same as you. But you think it's strange.
So I'm here with Than Jake at the incredible Slam Dunk, and we are melting right now, which is not good. But welcome to the Mark and Me podcast.
You guys speak for yourselves. I think it's fantastic Florida weather out here right now. I'm loving the humidity. I have a jacket on right now. It's subtropical in this tent. It's very
incredible. We've made it so it feels like home for you guys.
nice. You really did.
And in 2 weeks' time, it's going to rain and be shitty, and it'll just be back to normal England. So enjoy it while it's here. What I like to do with all the guests that come on the podcast is get an idea of basically how music got into your life. So when you were growing up, tell me about that first album that you remember maybe buying with pocket money, or you maybe stole it or borrowed it from someone, but that album that you first listened to that made you say, fucking hell, I want to be in a band.
There was a lot of them. The first one that I bought with my own money was 40 years ago. It was a band called Quiet Riot, Mental Health. That was the first one a cassette that I actually bought with my own money.
Awesome.
But my parents were musicians, so prior to that, I had music in the household, and so did he. Yeah, I definitely grew up with music on all the time, and a lot of like Brazilian traditional music, and then like my uncle was sort of like my big brother that was into metal and stuff, and that's like the first record that I had in my room that was my record was a record that my uncle had 2 of, and it was Iron Maiden Number of the Beast. I would think I was 9 or 10 years old, so
Wow.
yeah, I started with a lot of the heavy stuff, which is weird.
That's a big foundation to build upon. Like, Iron Maiden's like, fuck yeah. And then
Yeah.
where'd you go from there?
It's been my favorite band, pretty much my whole life. It's crazy, man. Still going. I think it's a crime that Maiden is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Just want to throw that in there.
It's because it's going to be worth the wait. Eventually it will happen, and we'll all say, finally! It all changed for me when I started watching live music, and one of the first gigs I ever went to was literally watching Green Day on their Dookie tour. And when I saw them on stage, I thought to myself, how the fuck are 3 people making this much noise? What was that first gig that you guys went to where you were like, yep, that's what I want to do. I don't want to go and do a 9 till 5. I want to be like these people up on stage.
I mean, probably before I ever saw a gig, it would have been on TV, on the telly. I would see things, like bands play, and then of course MTV came along, and that was my generation's YouTube. That's where you tuned in to see stuff. So that would have been it for me. And then as far as first gigs go, I saw Fishbone and the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones very early on.
Awesome.
And that really, I was like, if I could do a sliver of what these guys are doing, I'd be set. See, I think it's weird because I grew up with my uncle's band rehearsing in the house the entire time that I was growing up. The band was rehearsing in the basement. So like a band practicing or like, oh, we have a show this weekend just was never a foreign thing to me. And I had seen them play a bunch of times before my real first concert, which was U2 on the Joshua Tree tour in a huge-ass arena, was the first real concert that I went to. So I was just always exposed to music as like part of your lifestyle or something. So nothing of it was really foreign to me about it.
We're showing our age a bit now because we're talking about MTV actually showing music videos. Do you remember those good old days when you'd actually discover bands on music television?
Well, it was either, whatever local radio station or the BBC for you guys here or MTV. Same thing in the States. It was whatever was playing on the radio. We didn't have the internet. So that's what it was. And if you lived where I lived, Roger was in a way more culturally diverse place than I was. I was on the other coast of Florida. It couldn't have been two different worlds. I didn't know of punk rock till even the term till I was probably 13, 14. Someone gave me a Misfits cassette, and I was like, what is this, So it's way different now. I was talking to someone earlier. I wouldn't even know where to begin to be a band now. We did it when it was different.
I miss the days of queuing up for a vinyl or a CD or a tape and going on MTV as well and like discovering new bands, like watching a music video that felt like a film. Smashing Pumpkins, Tonight felt like a theatre production. I was like, this music video is fucking epic. I'd go and buy the album, read all the lyrics, listen to every single track. Nowadays, it's like everyone's attention span is like, nah, I can't be fucked. I'll move on to the next band.
Yeah, but that's all they know.
It's tough.
See, like we say, God, I miss those days. Going through the record store, going, oh my God, I got a record my mate doesn't have. Holy shit, I found this limited edition vinyl. But the kids that are consuming music, they don't know that feeling. So to them, it's how they get music.
Everyone's listening now, going, this is fucking Grandad podcast. This is fucking crazy. But what you guys have made a good point here is that you guys have been doing it for a long time. What is it that keeps you hungry? What is it that make you turn up today and you're like, I want to fucking blow the stage apart? What is it that still makes you?
Honestly, we just still have fun hanging out. We still have fun playing our songs, and we still having fun going out there and making a show out of it. It's just it's different than working on songs in the studio. It's a different energy. We're out there performing. We want people to have a good time, forget about their lives for a little while, and we get to be a part of that. And it's just fun to play our songs still.
What's really cool as well is when you look at the lineup, there must be some bands that you've toured with for years or you've shared the stage with. I'm not just saying this because I'm sat here now. Slam Dunk in the UK is such an established festival now. You're guaranteed, honestly, the best lineup every year. So to look at the poster and see you so high up, you guys must be like, that's a cool poster with us on.
I mean, it's incredible. And there's going to be people here today that have never heard of us, have never seen the band play, that hopefully they'll come back when we're on our next run over here. And to be able to get invited to play these, how else do you grow your band when you've been around for 30 years? You have to go out and do this, and everything that Roger said, I can say the same thing. We, at the end of the day, it's work. We put a lot of time and effort into this, but we still love doing it. Yeah, definitely lucky that we, played some of the earlier Slam Dunks when it was nowhere near this size. And I feel like, they're kind of patting us on the back for that years later, and here we are, so it's awesome.
I've had recently on the podcast Jimmy Eat World, Incubus, and they're bands that have been going 25 years, and you still see them on stage.
Kids.
Yeah, exactly.
No, just kidding.
It's fucking crazy. But you see these bands and they've still got the hunger, they've still got the desire. Be honest, do you guys still get nervous? Do you look out there and think, fucking hell, there's a lot of people? Or is it just in your blood now that you just turn it on, go on stage, and you're just like, this is what I'm meant to do?
Yeah, I think, we've been doing it long enough that, there might be a little bit of anxiety and anxiousness going on, knowing that you're going to expend a bunch of energy. But as far as like being confident about what we can do as far as playing together and, hitting the notes and stuff, I haven't felt that in a long time, thankfully.
What about you?
Same thing. There's sometimes, I try my best the longer this goes on to not have expectations. I'm only one guy out of 5. I could only do my best and just hope that I have a good time and that it translates. And it's taken a little bit of pressure off because, there was times when am I going to be able to sing this correctly? Am I going to be able to get through this set? My voice hurts a little bit, and it's just a gig, and sometimes that's the charm of it. The audience is like, oh, he sounded a little shit today. Okay, well,
At least it's real. At least it's not a backing track.
There you go.
And you guys, is it like a point in your life now where you're finding yourself like looking at the tour, because you're doing an album tour, aren't you, playing that whole album in its entirety? I looked at the list of dates and I'm like, when the fuck are you going to sleep? When are you going to rest? You must be exhausted. I looked at it and I was tired.
I'm his ventriloquist.
He's thrown you in it there.
Yeah. You can make this as hard as you can on yourself, which I did for many years, or you could realize where you're at in life.
Yeah.
I'm not 24 anymore, so getting sleep is optimal. Not staying up till 5 in the morning, so that in and of itself, just trying to stay hydrated and stretching, all those things I never did.
The priorities have changed slightly over 30 years. You could say that. But, ultimately, man, we're just still lucky that people give a shit enough to, want to hear those songs that this record has celebrating 25 years, right, this year. And we're playing songs that we haven't played in a long time, and it's still fun. And it's like, as long as people give a shit, we're going to show up. We're going to step up and do whatever really it takes to make it happen. But, yeah, I mean, it's a little rougher when you're a little older, for sure. But, we're in it to win it, man. We're in it for the long haul.
Is it weird and kind of nostalgic? Because one of my favourite bands are Thrice, and they're doing an Artist in the Ambulance tour. And I'm seeing loads of bands doing 20th anniversary, 25. When you go and revisit those songs that you haven't played for so long, does it feel like you're rusty? Does it feel like, fucking hell, how we need to kind of learn and play these songs again?
No, I think it's kind of weird. It's kind of like, some of the songs from the album we have been playing, and then you just kind of get back in the mindset that you were in when that record was getting written, and sort of like, oh, musically speaking, this is the ideas that I was having at that time. And they're all weirdly related to the same era, from my brain. It's like, oh, all these songs have sort of a similar thread that runs through them, and you just kind of get yourself back in that flashback mode, and then it's like, oh yeah, I know all these songs, I know how these go. It's weird.
I didn't know if the trip down memory lane is challenging. I don't know if you'd be like, I don't remember feeling this way when I wrote this song because I don't feel like that person anymore.
I've heard people say that. I've had conversations different times with Brendan and Kelly from Lawrence Arms about this. He's changed. Lawrence Arms actually has been his longest running project, but he kept changing things up, and he's told me about his first band that we used to tour with. He's like, I can't sing those songs anymore. I don't feel those emotions. I can't say that he's wrong. I've never felt that way. I felt like that was a part of my life that I'm showing you the photographs in my, you know what I mean? So I don't think either one of us is right or wrong, but that's how I approach it. When I get out there and sing, a song that we've been doing our whole career, playing every night, all my best friends are metalheads, I still get off on the reaction and the energy from the crowd. It never gets old. I'm not going to sit around my house and probably play Metalheads on the guitar when no one's around or listen to it, but I'll play it every day the rest of my life on stage.
Do you guys get any opportunities when you're at a festival like this to just go off and enjoy new bands or try and discover new music, or is it just a case of we come here, we've got a job to do, and we kind of just need to get a good life balance of just trying to get some rest because we've got to do it all again tomorrow?
A little bit. On a bill like this, man, we just have a lot of friends here. We've played shows with, a dozen of these bands, so there's just a lot of hanging out to do, it feels like, to kind of seeing friends. And it's kind of when you are a touring musician for as long as we've been, a lot of your better friends and people that you relate to the best you only see on the road.
Yeah.
There's not so it's just kind of like a fraternal get together.
I was going to say, does it feel like one big family and you're like catching up with your great uncle and your auntie and all your
because you're all going through the same thing. We're all sitting in the middle of a field, just getting off a coach looking for a place to crap, so
rock and roll, baby.
Yeah. So I mean, but I mean it for real. Like in that aspect, you're living on the road, as Roger said. We know a ton of people out here, so it's comforting in that respect because we've only been out for 2 days and we haven't done any touring this year. This is really the first thing, and we're busy for the next 4 months. But it's. We wake up fortunate in a field to be doing this still.
I'm not just saying this as being kind of biased, but the UK crowds are fucking awesome, aren't they? They're just hungry for music. There's so many good UK festivals, but genuinely, Slam Dunk just feels the right size. You can bump into the same people. There's no dickheads, and everyone just has fun.
Yeah, this is, what I can't get over. Yeah, it's a great festival, and as Raj said, we've been doing it since its infancy. We've seen it grow, but I can't believe how many festivals there are here now.
Yeah.
And that they, mostly all of them do well. You rarely see cancellations. And to your point, it's people love their music. And, it's we've had per capita probably our biggest reach in the UK. We got promoted insanely 20 years ago. We were in magazines and all that stuff, and we got a really big push here. And we were lucky to get on those Reading and Leeds and those early slam dunks and those download festivals and all that. And that really elevated the band.
I think as well what's really important is people don't realize, but during COVID, bands really got hit hard, because if you work in an office, you can go and sit at home and still go on your computer. You can do your job from home. But you guys, for 2 years, basically were like tied up in a prison going, you can't do what you're fucking good at.
That's very true. That was a crazy time. It was a bit of a reset for the whole industry, really. And, we barely got through that. We did a couple of live streams to kind of pay the bills and things like that. But we were all just in a holding pattern for a while there.
I think I've seen a massive change that people now are like buying tickets straight away because they're like, I'm never going to take it for granted. That could be the last show. I was honestly getting notifications on my emails. Incubus cancelled. Faith No More cancelled. I think it was Deftones cancelled. And I was like, I just want a fucking gig. I will go and see anyone right now just to experience live music. So I suppose, like you said, it's a bit of a reset for you. But you now must have this whole kind of different mindset of like, I might never get to do this again.
It's very true, man. I mean, we're lucky to do this all the time. So it's great. It's great. I think most people kind of feel that way too. They're like, all right, so I'm going to make the most of this concert. I'm going to like show up, ready to go with like my cooler full, so to speak. And you can feel it. People are excited again. This is like the first time we've been over here for a real tour since all of COVID too. So I can feel the excitement in the air.
And we haven't been around for 31 years. We've been around for 29 years because we lost 2 years to COVID.
It's true.
Yeah,
it's
we're not 30 yet.
And correct me if I'm wrong, you guys are doing some UK dates? Is there any announcement for like a full tour?
Oh yes, that's going to be coming next year. Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's getting announced here.
It's not. Is it? Oh right. Okay. I was going to say it's not official yet, but as we're sitting here, we're gonna.
It might be if it.
We're not allowed to talk about it, but yeah, we'll be around early next year.
Exclusive Mark and Me podcast announcement.
I'm not sure. It might be February, but I'm not sure.
That would be cool.
Okay.
I'm really grateful for you coming on. What I do on this podcast is, and it's my last question, normally I have one-on-one, but you both are going to get to choose this. My outro piece of music for the podcast is chosen by the guests that are on the podcast. What's one of your favourite songs that means a lot to you that you want played after today's interview? What I'll do is I'll take one from you both, either do a nice little mix where there's 2 tracks, or I'll toss a coin and pick my favourite. But what's the song, when I ask you the question, that comes to your heart and soul that you fucking love, that means a lot to you? It could be a piece of music, a band, but a song that when I asked the question came to you.
We were speaking about discovering new bands and things like that. There's a band from New Zealand that I'm really into that I feel like I got lucky that I found them, and they're called the Beths. The song is called Dying to Believe, and it's an amazing song. Check it out. Maybe
That's
Chris's
good,
song will be better.
new bands are great, because some people are like Rolling Stones, and I'm like the Beatles,
yeah.
and I'm like
not
no,
that,
someone new.
Yeah, that's a great band.
What's your choice, dude?
Someone new. I don't know if anybody knew. I'm gonna go old school. I'm gonna go Iron Maiden. I thought you were gonna say Maiden. And wow, gosh, there's so many Maiden songs. Today I'm feeling Wasted Years.
Right, that's gonna win. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Such a pity, I can feel you building up to.
Oh man, those two were hilarious. Really good fun, so much energy, great slots at both North and South, and just a brilliant band. Genuinely, and I mean this, and I don't use this term a lot, absolute legends, and I really can't wait to see them in the new year, like I said, on a joint tour with Bowling for Soup in the UK. I think as I'm recording this right now, tickets are on sale, and who knows, there might be an interview with Bowling for Soup coming up in just the very near future. What a tease. Next up, and this is my final interview for the first special that I'm doing for the Slam Dunk specials, I'm joined by an artist that I have never seen until this weekend, and I'm going to put my hand on my heart right now and say, for me, it was the performance of the weekend, PVRIS. Absolutely unbelievable. A flawless performance. The energy, the guitar playing, the vocals. Oh my God. Lynn is just a genius. Since I've come back from the weekend, I've spent most of the week listening to her music and I've been blown away. Just unreal. And I'm sure you can tell by my tone and just the way how she affected me at this festival. I'm now one of the biggest fans. And again, I can't wait to go to a show. I really hope I can get Paris back on the podcast. Lynn was just absolutely brilliant. I absolutely adore her. And hey, this is the final interview for the first part, but don't go too far because it won't be long until I give you another episode with 3 brand new interviews. So let's get to the final interview. Here's me and Lynn from Paris talking all things music. I'm here with Lynn from the band Paris. Welcome to Mark and Me podcast.
Thanks for having me.
First of all, what I like to do for people that are tuning in is give them a flavour for how music came into your life.
Yep.
So let's take it right back to the start. Can you remember that first album as a kid that you used to listen to all the time, know all the words to, and basically made you fall in love with music?
Ooh, it might have been... I feel like I'm uncovering a lot of my childhood lately, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense, like connecting the dots a bit better. But I feel like it was either Britney Spears or NSYNC.
Nice.
Those are like the good starters. And then when I got a little bit older and started to like a bit more alternative music, my parents didn't like want us to get anything with parental advisory.
No.
Which is that's a thing here, right?
It is, and that was the cool thing, like to buy an album and have that sticker on the
Yeah,
cover. That was awesome.
I always wanted it, but my parents were like, nope, but we'll find you like a movie soundtrack that has it, which I think at the time it was such a thing for movies. So then I kind of moved on to that. So naturally there's a pretty like eclectic blend of music through that. So I think my taste kind of just like...
That's amazing. And for me, I always say this on the podcast because I think it's important, but music changed for me when I went from the days of listening to cassettes and CDs to seeing a band live.
Yeah.
I'm quite proud that one of my first live gigs was Green Day. And I was like, fuck, this band are awesome. They're tight. They sound great. Billy Joe's voice on stage, unbelievable. Can you remember that first gig that you went to that was like when your ribs kind of shake, the hairs on your neck stick up, and you're like, this is everything I want to do?
Yeah, I remember I think I was in middle school, went to see Jimmy Eat World and
Fucking
Paramore.
Jimmy Eat World, one of my
Yeah.
favorite bands ever.
Yeah, it was the two of them, and I remember that night being like, this is really powerful. And then I think the next show after that was like very not far from that, but like a long time after that was Florence and the Machine in 2015.
I don't know where you really kind of go from starting with Jimmy Eat World, who've been in the business for over 20 years. I've had Jim Adkins on the podcast, genuinely one of the best songwriters ever. Clarity
Yeah.
for me is perfect. But Paramore, I don't care if people rip me for it. I don't think there's a better songwriter or vocalist on the planet than Hayley Williams. I really don't.
She's great, yeah.
She's just fun, has great lyrics, and they just evolve as a band. They never rest on their morals and play the same kind of punky stuff. They're now doing stuff it sounds like nothing else from the start, which is great.
Yeah, I think that's what every band should do.
Massively.
Every band, every artist. Keep growing, keep evolving.
So what point was it that you then decided you want to be in a band? When was it that you kind of thought, this is something I really want to do? I can't imagine myself kind of working in a shop 9 to 5. I want to perform. I want to be on stage.
Yeah, I think I knew in like middle school that I wanted to do something creative, but I didn't know it was music yet. But I did. My school had like a lot of after school programs where you could do like concert band, jazz band, guitar lessons, like a public school version of it. But it was what it was, and it was amazing, and I'm really grateful that we had that like resource. So in middle school I did a lot of that. So after school pretty much all the time I'd be like around instruments, and a lot of the times the teachers like would kind of half teach us, and they'd also just like let us mess around on the instrument. So I remember they had like a drum set, they had electric guitars, they had basses, they had a bunch of like classical acoustic guitars. They're all like battered up and pretty broken, but they were instruments.
Some have got like
nonetheless.
2 or 3 strings, but you get
Yeah,
it. Yeah,
but they worked. And so, yeah, kind of grew up around that, and that was like a lot of my after schools. And I think in those moments, because I have an older brother who's like 3 years older, but he was like starting to form middle school band, high school band, and he eventually like started having like practice at the house or whatever, and I kind of like always just was around it and really liked it. And I think in those years kind of started putting it together that music was the right route, and
that's awesome.
it still felt like not the most practical, but it just kind of came together.
And how does it feel now? Does it feel real that you're here with all these thousands of people? You're playing at, I think, a legendary festival. Now, it's unbelievable when you look at the poster. You must look and see Paris on there and be like, fuck yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah, totally. I haven't seen I've seen the poster, but I haven't processed everybody on it still. I keep having to go check and be like, oh, this person's here, this person's here. But yeah, it feels pretty surreal to still be doing this after almost 10 years. And
do you still get nervous? Do you feel like, oh my God, like some of the bands on there that have been here for 20, 25 years, I've just had Than Jake on, you must be like, they're legends, and you get to share the stage with these bands and be like, we really need to up our game each time. You know, we really want to kind of put on a show that people who may have come to the festival to see other bands leave saying, Paris are fucking awesome, I want to check them out when I get home.
I think I used to feel that pressure, and I would stress myself out too much by worrying about like making a good impression or winning the crowd over, and I would really let it get to me, especially as a woman for some reason. You have the doubts are placed on you a little bit more, and I used to really like internalize that and feel that, and now I don't want to think about any of that, and I just want to go up and have fun playing with my best friends, and that's the main intention. And if people connect with that, that's great. So, and
that's what it should be about.
Yeah.
You should be there having fun. If you're there thinking it's like a job, you're always going to be stressing out, always having anxiety, always worrying.
Yeah, I mean, always want to sound good and do well, but there is only so much you can like control at the end of the day. So it's really just like, okay, go in, enjoy it, embrace the music, and cross your fingers and hope for the best. See what happens.
And as we sit here, you've announced that you've got the album Evergreen coming out.
Yes.
Does it feel like, because you may have sat on this album for a while, it might be finished, and you're like trying to think to yourself, do we start incorporating some of the new songs into the set, or do you try and do like a best of, knowing that the fans are here that want to hear those songs they're used to, or do you try and get a good mix?
Definitely a good mix. I think from the newer album, it was like, okay, which songs fit accordingly to this festival and the energy that's mainly here, and kind of doing that with the older stuff too.
That's amazing.
Yeah, just finding a good blend.
I think with the new stuff as well, you can tell when you're watching a band, you've played the same songs, some songs for maybe 7-8 years. To play something new, it's more creative, it's more inspiring, it's more exciting. You can tell when a band's got something new and they're really proud to show off. So I think it's important you don't just play the obvious like best of.
Yeah.
New songs, you get to see kind of new blood in you all.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah, I think there is like a pressure to accommodate for old time a lot of the time, and I'm like, there's got to be a fine line where you just give a little bit of that and also keep pushing forward, and it's finding that balance, I guess. Think sometimes people are afraid to like get out of that, and they cater to something from like 10 years ago.
It's so true.
Yes.
Do you kind of come to these festivals as well and try and use a chance to have an opportunity to maybe check out other bands, or are you just kind of, shit, we've got to do this set, and then kind of relax and make sure we don't overdo it because we're doing it all again tomorrow?
A little bit of both. I have my little list that I want to see, and once I check that off, I'll kind of just see where the evening takes me, but usually pretty like low key and like to relax. But I love the grounds that the festival's on, so I might go for a little hike later or something, or
I love this. We're at a festival
find
and
some
you're
grass.
up on a hill miles
It's
away.
beautiful.
hiking.
I want to walk around in it.
No, it does look absolutely beautiful,
Yeah.
but I'm too old now. I'll just ache the next day. I'm like, I can't do it. I'm just getting too old.
Yeah, I'm still pretty jet lagged too, so I think definitely want to rest as much as I can.
So,
Have a busy
are there any
next week,
bands
too.
on the list that you're like eager to see today or tomorrow?
I think I'm missing her, but I really wanted to see Scene Queen, who's playing earlier. I think if it's 2:30, I probably missed the set. But Wargasm,
Amazing.
Enter Shikari.
They've been on the podcast recently, and here in the UK they had a #1 album, and bands like Enter Shikari don't get #1.
Yeah.
And it's so good to see bands that work so hard, that do it all themselves, get recognition, and #1 in the chart is just
Yeah.
unheard of.
I think there's a really great shift coming
There is.
for the industry, and I think just how people listen to music. I think there's a greater appreciation for like established artists that have been doing this for a long time. I think if you've paid your dues, they're coming.
It is. It's so true.
really
And there's
nice.
bands that like Sleep Token have just released their 3rd album, and I think they're on course to be in the top 5. And it's like those guys have worked so fucking hard. It's so good to see.
Yeah.
A really cool band as well to see live. I strongly recommend seeing Sleep Token. And also, we're really looking forward to Billy Talent. What a great band.
Yeah, they're right after us, huh?
Yep. So we'll make sure we watch you at Leeds and Billy Talent, and we'll get to see you twice.
I might just stay by our stage. I feel like everybody that is on my list is on the stage. So.
Stay there all day. Have a little picnic.
It's right next to the van. I'm good.
That's awesome. What I do on
Wear
this
my
pod-
pajamas.
That would be amazing.
watch a bunch of music.
Have a little bathtub. Fuck it. Like, sorry, everyone else. What I do on the podcast, and it's my final question because I'm wary of time. I ask every guest that comes on to pick their final song that gets played. So after today's interview with me and yourself, there's a song played, but you get to choose it on the spot. So is there a song by any band in the world or a piece of music that you love that when I asked the question came to your head and your heart before anything else, that after today's interview is edited, it plays beautifully out to that song?
Ooh, does it have to be sentimental?
It can be anything you want. Someone's had a fucking theme tune from The Simpsons. Someone's had a Yoko Ono 20-minute B-side. And then other people have just picked stuff like Led Zeppelin and Rolling Stones.
Okay. I don't know which way to lean.
Wherever your heart told you first.
I'm going to go to my Spotify and see
Which NSYNC song?
what was my last... Okay, this is actually a good one. There is an artist called Chloe.
Chloe.
She has a song called Body Do, and it's my pump up song, and it's my current jam.
What I love is when people pick something I've never heard, because then I'll spend the next week just solidly listening to Chloe.
Yeah.
But that's awesome. But thank you so much for coming on. Good luck with the sets. We will see you on stage here and tomorrow, and I wish you all the luck with everything.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thanks
much.
for having me.
So there it is. There's my final interview for the first part in my Slam Dunk specials, and I wanted to go out on a real high. Oh my god, Lynn was amazing. And as you heard on my introduction to Paris's interview, just unbelievable. Just for me, going there and discovering a new artist is what festivals are all about. Slam Dunk has this amazing lineup with some incredible bands and absolute legends. And honestly, when I went over to the main stage and watched Paris, I didn't know what to expect. And I was just blown away. I was totally absorbed. I couldn't take my eyes off the stage. And now you've won me as a massive fan. And I can't wait to hear the brand new album coming really soon. It's going to be unreal. I just want to say now, thanks for everyone that's took the time to listen to today's episode. As I said, I was extremely busy at both sites during Slam Dunk, so this isn't the only free interviews you're going to get. It's going to be very, very soon that you get the whole new batch of another free brand new interviews. What I do want to say now, if you've enjoyed today's interviews, and these podcasts will always remain free, but please go on markandme.com, follow my Twitter page, or like me on Facebook, or follow me on Instagram. And if you've really enjoyed these interviews today, please share them. It costs you guys at home absolutely nothing. Maybe there's going to be a whole new set of listeners that come on board who've been at Slam Dunk and have now seen these guests on this podcast and stick along for the ride. That is all I can ask for. So if you've enjoyed today's episode, please share it. I do also have a Patreon account, so if you do want to throw me a couple of pounds to say thanks for these episodes, it helps me then go out to more festivals and record more specials like this for you guys at home. There is a link on markandme.com, and all the money that comes in via Patreon goes right back into the podcast. I'll be back, honestly, very soon. Blink and you might miss it, with another 3 interviews from Slam Dunk. So until then, look after yourself, take care, and I'll speak to you all very soon.
Do you ever wonder, like, who else is fucking your man?
Your body like this. Your body like this. Your body like this. Your body like this.